Well, good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to Climbing Out of a Joseph's Hole. We have two special guests here today, and we have Mr. Leon Lewis and Leroy Lewis. We're going to interview them, but they're going to give us some history and some things about life that I thank God that we have them here to give to us. And we're just going to thank God for this interview and thank God that they have come on to just tell us some things about themselves. And we thank God that you're watching and listening today. So welcome to Climbing Out of a Joseph's Hole. And my name is Pastor Lavelle Jennings of the Pastoral House Church, and also the author of the book Climbing Out of a Joseph's Hole. And God bless you again. And we're going to get ready to go into some questions. I know growing up in a family where you had mostly boys, and of course the girl didn't come later, but how was it like growing up with your parents? I mean, they raised you.
Had very great parents, top of the line, mom and dad. Taught us wrong from right. Even though no one's perfect, I'm sure we didn't act like that all the time.
Were you in church all the time? Did your mom bring you up in church all the time?
We were raised from babies in church.
Okay.
Yes. Until we got grown, we had to be in church on Sunday, unless you were sick. But it was some interesting times. Time has changed. Back then, it was more of people were for each other. They would help each other.
Okay.
If there was a problem or if they needed something, it wasn't no problem if you needed a cup of sugar or a cup of coffee or whatever it might be that you were running short on. People was willing to help if they had it.
Leon, what was it like back when you were coming in high school? And I remember you telling me one time, you were around the time, I don't know what year that was, where Martin Luther King was shot. And what was it like, in the schools? What happened that day around that time? And I think you can probably recall that, when he was shot. What happened?
Well, it was a lot. All of the people, the Afro-American people, Negro people, and some white.
Whites and blacks. You can use that. That's fine.
All nationalities were upset about it. Really upset about it. Well, I remember we was in high school, and we were in class when it was announced that Martin Luther King had been killed. And so people got upset right then, and so they turned the class out, let everybody go. And so we come down, there was some fighting.
Okay.
There was some fighting going on.
A lot of anger,
A whole lot of anger. Whole lot. Well, looking back, the man was for peace for not only the black people, but for white people, for all people.
Yes, yes.
And for him to get killed like that by a racist, at that time we said the Ku Klux Klan was the reason for it. A big part of it.
Were the teachers are worried about what was going on? The teachers back
then? Yeah, the teachers were worried about it. And so they let school out. They let the school out for that day. And everything. We try to get people a chance to more or less settle down.
Okay.
And never would or never did accept what happened, but
for a while, it took a while.
It took a long time, and still now. People talk about it now.
Yes.
But it was a hard time.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about job working? You worked a bunch of jobs. I know you retired from the road commission, but did you do anything before then, or jobs before then?
Oh yes. I drove bus for Dollar. I took it. I had worked in 2 foundries. I worked for oven fresh bakery. I worked for Holland American Wafer Company.
We had Dollar Ride back in those days too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I hadn't graduated out of high school then,
Okay.
so that was the early 70s.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're talking before. I
Yeah.
was born in '70, so.
Yep. I was in the 70s. And so then I worked construction
Construction.
with DJ McQuestion. For a while, I went over to Reed City, tried to get a job over there at Your Plate. And I was told by the man that interviewed me
Too much experience.
that the way I was dressed, I was a pimp.
Really?
And he knew that I wasn't going to work no job. and I'm telling you, that really upset me.
Yes.
How
old were you
really, I was really angry about that. I was about 20, I was about 21 then.
Mm.
And I asked him, I said, well, what was I supposed to do? Come here, you wanted me to, rather for me that came here nasty and raggedy, looking like a bum or something? And he didn't say anything. So that's when I told him, I said, well, I tell you what, you can take your job and you know where you can put it.
Wow.
And I got up and walked out because I could see where he was coming from.
And that was at Your Plate back then, and it was it was more racism,
Yes.
racism back then. You would say, of course, more.
Oh yeah, it was
okay.
always right.
And that
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. And you ended up, like I said, your last job was the road commission. You probably worked there for the longest, right?
I retired from there 26 years. The Bay County Road Commission.
Okay.
Retired as a heavy equipment operator. And it was the best job I ever had in my life. And it was. And I thank God for giving it to me because it was a job that when I was a little boy, I used to stand in the window and look at the snowplow coming down the road in the wintertime. And I told my mother and my daddy, I said, I'm going to drive one of them trucks one of these days.
You said that.
And I ended up doing it. Never thought I would, but I did.
But you did. Yeah. Well, you were back then to Leroy and in the school system, and also you experienced some things where you had to adjust and in life and to get some experiences that you would share with the young people. What would you share with them?
Well, for me, high school was really superb. I enjoyed my friends. We had good teachers, and our parents mom and dad made sure we went to school, you know. And during those times, I worked for pretty much half of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for different people, older, elderly people.
Okay.
Nana Johnson was one. Miss Red was one. Mama King was one. I had like 7, 8 people that I used to work for, do their coal and their wood, and I used to shovel their snow. And they paid me back then. A dime was like $100. So,
really?
Yeah, to me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kept my little candy and stuff, you know. And then later on, Dad bought me I think I told you about it, how I walked the bike. And it was somebody, the Reeds ran over it. It was almost a ride about that bike. But anyway, that was for my paper route.
That was for your paper route?
Yeah, so I was having paper. I had a old Swin, but Dad bought that new Hawaii, and I had that was like a Cadillac.
How old were you about that? How old were you about?
I was like 10, 11 years old. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Since I was 8 or 9, I was working in the neighborhood around Bush Lake and across the street with Mama Gant, the elderly people. They would pay me so much to do their snow and then bring in their coal and wood.
Okay.
You know, and that's what I did at that time. I was like 13. And then I started my paper route.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That was great.
What experience? Big Leroy, I know that you, at times, you wasn't around all the time and you went a different way in life, but things wasn't always easy. And I know you have some different experiences that you can share with people about. What would you say about your life, meaning that the things you went through?
Yeah, but there's no place like home.
Okay.
And you really do have to keep your nose clean because when you're in different places in life, Now, I can tell you this:
Go ahead.
there's no place like home.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
And you don't live. Only thing you do is exist.
Yes.
That's all you can do.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have no life. You don't have no say so. You're told when to lay down. You're told when to get up.
Okay.
You know, told when you can eat. You're told when you got to go to work, and then you go when you come back.
Okay.
And that just, like I said, it's no life. It's not a life for anybody.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend it on my worst enemy.
Right, right. But well, you know, I'm enjoying just listening to you guys talk, and Leroy and Leon, and I've learned a lot. You know, I wasn't back then when, at least I wasn't in the schools, or back in '70. I was just born in 1970. I think this stuff happened right around '70. Would you say? Most of the things, the experiences you had.
72.
But I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious about when your sister came in the world. Being the only little girl. You know, what did you think, or where were you when you found out you had a little girl coming? Because how many years is older than she? She's 52.
Well,
And you, so yeah, so
I'm
she
71.
Yeah. And you, what's that?
71.
71.
73.
73. So you're old enough to know. Okay, what happened when your sister came? I mean,
Well, we was happy. I was living in Grand Rapids at the time.
you was in the Grand Rapids. Okay.
And I heard Mom, they called me and told me that Mom had delivered the baby and it was a girl. Because at that time they wouldn't let you know if it was they
Boy or girl.
couldn't tell if it was a girl or boy,
Okay.
or what it was going to be at that time like they can now.
Right. Right.
And they said she had a girl.
Mm.
But I remember I couldn't wait for that weekend. I come up from Grand Rapids to Reed City Hospital, and it must have been about 11 o'clock at night when I got there. After I got out of work, I came up.
Came up.
And I was making so much noise in the hospital. The nurses were telling me, we're going to have to put you out if you don't be quiet. You don't be quiet. And I was just hollering, I got a sister. I got a sister. And that was one of the happiest days of my life.
Okay.
I never will forget it.
What about you?
Oh shit! I went over the moon. Yeah, shit. I was living at home. I was so enthused and happy, and my sister and I, as she got old and grew up. I was older than she.
Yeah.
She killed me. She was named me Corns.
Corns.
Yeah.
What was the corns for?
Cause I used to wear them boots a lot, and then I got some more corns on my toes, and she named me Corns. I named her Poo Poo. But boy, I'm telling you, that was the delight of my life. I have a sister called Mom. She you don't know how she cried for a girl. I sure wish I could be a daughter, and she had it at a late age. God bless Mom, had a little daughter at a late age.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Praise
Yeah,
God.
she did.
The last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So God blessed her wound, and boy, Mom, she caught up with me going around the moon. Yeah, I remember all that. Boy.
Yeah. And you know, it seemed like it was it's kind of a lot of pressure on I believe, on men when you have the only girl to take care of her. Have you ever had to? I'm talking about before she got married. Now, you know, that in school that you ever had to worry about having to go and take care of somebody, saying somebody heard somebody maybe messing with her.
I'll tell you one thing: if they had her,
They knew better.
And she had a lot of cousins too. Now let me get. You guys had all the cousins over balling. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I got you.
No, the word was out. You better not mess with her. You mess with her. She got a whole bunch of brothers. And folks is gonna tear you all to pieces.
You never
I
gonna
was
get.
a little scared of it.
You
Yes.
never gonna get that. Sure, in that situation, you go automatically would take your sister.
Yes.
I don't care if it was not your only sister.
Right,
your
right.
Sisters, period.
Period.
You know?
Because it's family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, you guys, you know, this has been a blessing that I got to learn something about you. You know, and for you out there on YouTube, I thank God for having Big Leroy here and Leon Lewis here, and we thank God for them both and giving us some of the experiences. Yeah. So we thank you for joining in. We're gonna have other people on the show, but at the same time, thank you, Leon, and thank you, Leroy, for coming on and being with us this day and on this fine, beautiful day. And we hope to come back again and see.